Appreciate everybody being here. Everybody ready? Excellent. Well, this is an exciting day for me. It's been a long day coming. I'm excited to share with you some of the game day enhancements that we're going to be doing for the upcoming football season. And I think, talk a little bit about the process first. I think one of the real challenges for anyone who's involved in a leadership position, and I learned this when I was involved in government politics, but I think it applies to the public service of being the AD at a major public university, is that you've got to keep looking at your role and what's going on with external eyes. And that's real easy when it's new. And it's easy when you're challenging the views of the previous regime, and it's easy when you're solving the problems of the previous regime. It's harder when you've been there long enough to create your own problems and your own things that need to be reevaluated. And so it's sort of like the revolution. You know, you need to try to avoid becoming the status quo and avoid those great philosophers, the Who's warning, welcome to the new boss, same as the old boss. So we're trying to keep kind of a campaign edge, kind of a revolution edge, and challenge ourselves, just like we sort of challenged the things that were here when we got here, believe it or not, five years ago. So after last football season, I brought our staff together and challenged them to take a total wholesale look at the way we run our game day operations and most specifically our game day experience. We had introduced a lot of things that first year when the North End Zone opened in 2009. Novel Park, Kicks for Keeps, Red Light Special, $5 tickets for youth, a variety of things. We put the wrought iron fence out there, put some branding in. And I'm not going to say that I thought things were getting stale, because I think it's been going very well, but I thought at the 5-year point we really needed to step back and take a really close look at the way we were doing things to make sure we kept kind of a campaign edge the way we were addressing the football game day experience. So we started doing that. We started meeting on January 9th. We met basically every other week. The really cool thing about that was it was highly collaborative. We had the football staff involved. Kevin was very closely involved. Kevin and I have met on this many times. We had other people within the athletics family, if you will, the Marching 100, the Red Steppers, the cheerleaders. We also had people a few concentric circles out, the Intra-Fraternity Council, the Panhellenic Association, the orientation leaders that are real close to the kids, Residence Hall people, and just really tried to take a comprehensive look and say, we're going to tear this down to zero and not assume that anything stays in. We'll only keep the stuff that we think is good, and let's add some new stuff as well. So this was motivated, with that in mind, to say, let's take a new, clean look at what we need to be doing. And B, I believe, and I've said this to you guys before, we need to show progress each and every season in terms of our investments in football. So the first season was easy. It was the North End Zone. The new strength and conditioning center, the meeting rooms like this. The second year we put in the gigantic scoreboard, which at least at the time is in the top 10 in the country. The third year was really the investments in people. The new coaching staff, doubling the salaries of the head coach, doubling the salaries of the assistant coach pool, going from 2 strength and conditioning coaches in football to the NCAA maximum of 5. Last year, we put in the new artificial turf at the practice facility. That was like about a $700,000 item. This year, we've continued with some branding that we'll look at today, made some additional investments in our coaching staff to help retain those. So this year, in addition to wanting to just generally, as a matter of practicality, look at the new, look at new opportunities for enhancements, also do some things to show people that we still care, our fans, our current student athletes, our prospective student athletes, and our coaching staff. So, with that as a wind-up, here's the pitch. And this is very extensive, so if you guys want to break for lunch in the middle of it or something like that, that's fine. I'm just going to warn you, we get a lot of good stuff here. I'll start out with infrastructure improvements. And this goes from sort of the pedestrian to the more exciting, but I don't know how many of you have noticed those old boxy TVs in the old concourse with the plexiglass around them with pigeon droppings all over it. Those are gone. We've got flat screens in the old concourse area to complement the flat screens we had in the new concourse. area. We're installing DAS, or Distributed Antenna System, all those crazy antenna War of the Worlds things at the top of the stadium. Those are antennas to help improve the connectivity for texting, for cell phone usage. I'm pleased to report that Verizon's in, so if you've got Verizon, you'll be in good shape. I'm less pleased to report if you're like me and have AT&T. They haven't done the deal yet, so we're hoping to get AT&T in the fold, but I do think it'll improve dramatically the game day experience when we're full up and people can actually text, each other, have access to their phone usage better than they do now. Eventually, I'd like to go to Wi-Fi. That's probably a year or two away, but anyway, we'll have the DAS system. We've done a variety of cleaning up things in the concourse. We've painted the concourse risers. We've removed dead speakers. I don't know if you noticed those old MASH speakers. They look like they were from 1957. They weren't actually connected to anything. They just were there looking stupid. So we've taken those out. We've done a lot of work in the concession stands, put in new roofs, new lighting, new wiring. There's a new food delivery system which should help the food be warmer, hotter, fresher, quicker to our customers. Taking out some old fencing and some other nasty stuff. This is another thing, I don't know if you guys can relate to this, but when you're like a homeowner, you quit seeing stuff that needs to be fixed. You quit seeing that spot on the ceiling or the cracked window or whatever. And we tried to walk through and take fresh eyes like we're going to put our house on the market or something. And here's all the stuff that we need to fix that we sort of looked past for too long. You know about the USS Indiana Prow. We're excited about that, taking its rightful place back here at Memorial Stadium. We're also bringing back the cannon. Some of you may remember that little bitty cannon that we would shoot off when Indiana football scored. Now we got a big old gigantic cannon that the ROTC brought in. They call it Big Jake, which is named after a brigadier general who actually started the military service curriculum here in 1840, entered the Civil War as a private, and through battlefield promotions was promoted to brigadier general. I've got more details if anybody's really interested in that, but the ROTC named that Big Jake. It's got a great connection and tradition with Indiana University and our support for the military. We've created platforms so we can actually get the cheerleaders off the field and up into the stands. They'll be physically in the stands with the student section, which will help us, I think, create more excitement with the students, and especially with the new cheers and traditions that we're creating with the student section. We've added 3 new T-shirt machine guns, so now we're up to 4 T-shirt machine guns, which will be located strategically throughout Memorial Stadium, which generates its own kind of excitement. Again, this won't be highly visible. This won't be visible at all, really, to our guests. But we have a new and expanded game day command center for crowd control, dealing with emergencies and so forth. And in this day and age, I think it's important that we continue to upgrade our capacity and ability to deal with those issues, and we've done that with a new command center in the press box. Of course, the thing I'm most excited about is the tallest flagpole at college football, 154.5 feet flagpole. It's going to be dedicated at the Navy game, although as you can see, we'll be able to see or have seen, it's up and running now. The flag on it is 30 by 60 feet. It was donated by a member of our Varsity Club National Board of Directors, which was awesome, and we're going to really incorporate that into the pregame. The flag will go up while the national anthem's being sung by the crowd. The ROTC will be guarding the flagpole. They'll bring it down appropriately and solemnly, probably after most people actually left the stadium. But when the Hoosiers win, we will be hoisting the victory flag, which is the traditional IU interlocking I and U, and it'll go up and stay up until we have not won the last game. And when we win on the road, we'll be hoisting the flag up there. So it'll be a cool thing, I think, for the campus to be able to look up and know by the basis of the presence of the flag that we've won. In addition to that, we're going to put all the spotlights in the north end zone red after we win. So at night, when you drive by the bypass or whatever, if the north end zone is basking in the red glow, then that's also a sign that the Indiana University football team won the last game. So those are sort of infrastructure improvements broadly defined. And so I do think it's important that we keep improving our house, and I think we have. The next group of items really fall under building game day awareness. And We want people to know there's a game, we want them to come to the game, we want them to go into the game, we want them to stay at the game, and that begins by making sure they're aware that there is a game. We're going to have aggressive and coordinated use of social media, a lot of contests, video sharing, photo sharing, tailgate recipe sharing, really engage with our fans through social media. We have a new branded Chevy Volt, which runs on electricity, right? So it's very green, very sustainable, and it's got some cool branding on it. We're going to put speakers on it and actually drive around Bloomington and Kirkwood and campus before we get kicked off for being loud, announcing there's a game. Again, my political background is coming into play. Then we used to do that kind of stuff all the time, and I think that'll be fun. We're going to have Thursday flash mob rallies, so we are just going to show up unannounced in a high-profile area of campus or the town with band, cheerleaders, T-shirt guns, mayhem, just to try to draw attention that yes, that's Thursday before a Saturday home football game. We're going to have what we call Friday Night Spirit Patrol, so we're going to send some intrepid members of our band and cheerleaders down to Kirkwood and have them walk up and down and play some music and perhaps go into some of the bars and hit a few notes of Indiana on the horns and make sure that some of the folks down on Kirkwood are aware that there's a game the next day on Saturday. Those gigantic, we bought several to try to help with traffic. A couple years ago we bought those gigantic flashing signs that you see on the side of the road, go here, go there, here's arrows. During game week we're going to flash on there about there's an upcoming game this weekend. Again, try to utilize some infrastructure we've already purchased. We have a giant, some of you may have seen this, I think it's fairly cool. It's a giant mobile billboard / TV that's been driving around campus showing football highlights and then also reminding people that the game's on Saturday and have a countdown clock to our opening game. We won't do that every week, but we've got that driving around reminding people because it is an early game. People are just getting settled in on campus. Some people can't believe there's a game on Thursday. There is a game on Thursday. The countdown clock helps people be reminded of that. Tomorrow at 2 o'clock in the clock near Woodburn Hall on campus, Coach Wilson is hosting a game week event. It's almost like our first flash mob rally a couple days early. He's going to be there. He's going to be handing out goodies to students passing in class. So a band will be there, cheerleaders will be there, I'll be there, T-shirts will be there. It should be a lot of fun and hopefully a good way to get our kids who just started classes today to remember that there's a game here already on Thursday. So that's a lot of our building awareness for game day. Pre-game, before the game starts, we want to do some new fun things, and we're going to be making some changes with the walk. Instead of the walk starting in front of Assembly Hall, the walk is going to start at Woodlawn and 17th. The buses are going to come around. They're going to let the kids off, let the team off by the fun tailgate area, the responsible pre-game preparation tailgate area, and really try to engage with the student body in a way that we haven't done at least recently. So they'll get off the bus there, hopefully have some good engagement with the students, and then come on across 17th Street. The band and cheerleaders, or a contingent of band and cheerleaders, will lead them through the parking lot. They'll get back to pretty much where they usually start at Assembly Hall, make a big left turn, and head into Memorial Stadium. This will be, I think, a really cool thing in a variety of ways, but one of them is this is a lot truer to the original HEP walk tour than that it evolved into in later years, and I think will be the evolution of a great tradition. The team's going to do a little bit different enter the field in terms of how they enter the field in basketball. You know, we show kind of behind the scenes look at the team getting ready and fired up before they take the court at Assembly Hall. We're going to do the same with the football program, where the team's going to be viewed by the fans getting ready to go into the stadium. So that'll be up on the Jumbotron. And then they're going to come in with great fanfare. There's going to be a huge smoke effect, sirens, fireworks, and it'll be hard for people not to be aware that the Hoosiers are taking the field. this might be a good time to mention that another driver of really focusing on the game day experience has been, we're battling against the comfort of folks watching games at home. And people are feeling that around the country, regardless of the nature or stature of their program. There's stress on attendance because the home experience has become so positive. And so one of the things I think we need to do as administrators is try to make the stadium experience as desirable as possible, to maybe give some things that you don't even see at home. That's part of the reason I think we have to improve the phone service, improve the texting, eventually go to Wi-Fi, maybe show some things that the folks at home don't see with the behind-the-scenes piece, like we were talking about pregame before the fans, before the team takes the field. Also in games, we're going to add on our opening video, some call it the Bison video, we're going to add highlights from great moments in Indiana football. We do that in basketball, show some of the traditional big moments in Indiana basketball. We do have a lot of great history in Indiana football, and we want to show that and share that with our fans. This is one of my favorite ones. We are going to start singing Back Home Again in Indiana as part of our pregame ceremonies. Anybody that's been to the 500, at least for me, that was often my favorite and occasionally my last experience during the race when I was there. But as long as I saw Jim Neighbors sing Back Home Again in Indiana, I was good. So Tim Noble from the music school is going to be singing Back Home Again in Indiana. Occasionally we'll have surprise guests do the same thing. It'll be accompanied by the marching hundreds. So it'll be great pageantry reminiscent of the beginning of the Indianapolis 500. During the national anthem, when we all sing "And the Rocket's Red Glare," there's going to be a huge burst of fireworks, which will not only add a certain dramatic accompaniment to the lyrics, but will also signal to all the knuckleheads that haven't gotten to the stadium yet that it's about 15 minutes until kickoff. So we want to do everything we can to give people a heads up that the time is almost there for kickoff, and that'll be, I think, a fun way to do that. The band and the cheerleaders are going to have little roving groups pre-game and actually in-game, engaging with the fans, entertaining the fans, teaching the fans some of these new cheers that I'm going to describe for you in a minute, and so they'll be very involved. And I'm excited that the band is going to conclude every pregame performance by spelling Indiana out in their unique way as they play the song Wipeout. We've been continuing to try to brand Wipeout as sort of our song, and I think it's taking root more, and I'd like to see it become sort of Indiana's unofficial song. Ohio State's got one sort of like that they occasionally play that drives me crazy. So I think we need an answer to that, and Wipeout's it. So hopefully that'll be played at weddings and bar mitzvahs and first communions and stuff like that when Hoosiers gather to celebrate and recognize significant events. In game, this is maybe the central piece of this. So wake up if you've gotten distracted during this long description. We need to have some new cheers and traditions, in my view. And one of the many, many great things about college is these kids don't know whether something's been going on 1 year, 10 years, 50 years, 100 years. And so if we can start adding in some of these traditions before long, I think they can take root and become part of the landscape very quickly. In fact, a lot of the cheers we have already were Hep's cheers and traditions that he started, and they've carried over in a great way. So let me go through these real quick. So when the ball is, and these might seem kind of basic, but we're going to add them together. It's going to be awesome. So when the ball is kicked off, when the kicker kicks the ball, we're going to encourage all the fans to yell Hoosiers, and then the band will continue on as they have in the past. On first downs, the announcer will prompt first down, and then the fans will continue in Hoosiers, pointing the appropriate direction. And we're going to have a lot of those, so we'll be busy with the first downs. Touchdown march will be going on between the touchdown and the point after touchdown. On third down, we really want to help our defense as much as we possibly can. We're going to have the band play the Jaws theme and have all the students, and hopefully led by some of the players, do the chomp, clap, and scream as loud as they can to help create a good environment for us on third down. The defense calls defensive stops tap outs. And so we are going to prime the pump, if you will, on tap outs by creating a tradition of all the students and hopefully the players doing an X to connote a tap out, not unlike a K, also for reasons unknown, reflects a strikeout. So this will be the tap out. The kids will hopefully interact with the players with that, and then we're going to have, sort of like the K in baseball, we're going to have a tap out wall, and every time there's a defensive stop, we're going to put a big X up on the wall. And if the defensive stop is a result of a turnover, we're going to put a red X, because those are extra tasty. We're also going to encourage the fans to be particularly aware of going crazy when our opponent is on offense and they're in the red zone on either end of the field, but particularly when they're on in the north end zone close to the student athletes. So I'm not sure I did justice to that, but just to make sure you guys get the full feel of it, we have a little video. Watch your monitors, please.
The drums are going to be rolling. When the ball is kicked, yell Hoosiers.
When we get a first down, yell first down Hoosiers.
And point the direction we're going.
When we score a touchdown,
We're going to score a lot of them.
pump your fist like this.
And point like this.
Jaws will be playing. We need you to chop. When we get the ball back, turn up, it's a tap out.
So when we get that tap out, cross your arms in the air like this. Turn up.
Be ready.
Get it up. Get it up.
Whenever our opponent is between the 20 and the end zone, either side of the field, stand up and make some noise.
In the
showed that at the Spirit and Traditions event for all the freshmen all over the campus, and it was very well received, and we'll continue to look for ways to roll that out on social media and otherwise. And by the time we're showing that to the third or fourth incoming group of freshmen, I think we'll really have it rocking in Memorial Stadium. We're going to have performance awards for offense and defensive accomplishments. Some of you remember the old cheeseburger days in Assembly Hall, like I do. We've got a deal where if the offense scores 50 or more points, there's going to be special discounts at Kilroy's and Papa John's. If we get 8 or more tap outs, there'll be discounts at Kilroy's. That includes both on Kirkwood and the Sports One, where the Reg used to be. And then if both of those things happen, you not only get those things, but you'll get a free hot dog at the next football game. So we'll have a little fun with that, and hopefully get the kids really interested in following that, and all the fans in general. The Student Athletic Board, who's been very involved in this process, really representing the views of students and at the table with the other folks I mentioned, the Panhellenic Council and the Interfraternity Council and so forth. They've come up with an idea to have a super fan, and so they're going to have one of their member, maybe the same member, I don't know, because he or she's going to be dressed in a different costume at every game, and really kind of as a grassroots piece, getting the students fired up and being engaged with the cheerleaders who are already in the stands. They're both going to be mic'd up, so they'll be able to be heard in the student section and helping us get these cheers off to a good start and help really be a 12th man for football. This is fun. Okay, pay attention to this one. This is a good one. We have got a new football song and video being produced by Daniel Weber and Bryce Fox, the This Is Indiana guys. So they're going to do for football with this new piece what they did for basketball. It's really wild to be this Spirit Traditions thing on Friday, because these kids who are all freshmen stood up and went crazy during this song. They knew every word of it. And I think this football video, and a confidence football video, will be a great piece of support for football, and it will include a lot of these new traditions and whatnot we've been talking about. It'll be unveiled in the Big Ten opener against Penn State. That'll give them a time to get a little footage and incorporate in and put in the video some of the things that are new for this year. So we're really pleased that Daniel and Bryce agreed to do that for us. There's going to be more stats, more scores, more highlights, more replays in the Jumbotron. Again, trying to make it as much of an experience being at home as possible. So people want to see the scores, they want to see the highlights. The Big Ten, I'm not sure this has been made public yet or not, but I think it has. The Big Ten, frankly, I was on a committee that urged this, has removed the prohibition from replaying more than once controversial plays, or as they describe it, where the official's judgment could appropriately be considered a substantial part of the play. So we'll be able to show replays, including controversial replays, whether they're ones that are under review or not under review in the stadium, and so hopefully people will enjoy being able to see that actually in the stadium and not trying to call home and say, you know, were his feet in or not, but you probably could call home anyway because the phone service is so terrible you can't get a line out. We're going to do a This Day in Indiana Football feature, so again during the game, reminding people of great moments in Indiana football on that very day. That'll be fun. We've got a lot of mileage out of the new helmets. That's been fun through social media. We're going to give away one of the helmets at each home game to a lucky Hoosier fan who will walk away with one of our extremely cool helmets where tradition meets innovation. This is sort of pedestrian, but there's no one silver bullet. There's a lot of different things. We're going to have a new birthday party ticket promotion. And so if a kid wants to have, or parents want to have their birthday party there, when your kids are little, you're always looking for something to do with your kids on their birthdays. You can come, you get 4 adult tickets, 12 youth tickets. The kid's name is on the tickets. It's put on the tickets by Mike Roberts personally in nice print. And it's also up on the Jumbotron. It's $150. So those tickets, depending on whether it's a Big Ten game or a non-conference game, would be the value would be between $280 and $320. You get this for $150, you get a couple extra things, and again, hopefully we'll start making some Hoosier fans for life at a young age. We're going to have fireworks. For the first time, we're going to shoot off fireworks right before the start of the second half. Again, A, to, fire up everybody, but B, let people know that the game's getting ready to start, and they ought to come in from the parking lot if they haven't done so already. And then we've talked about the new helmets before. We think that's a big deal. The kids really like it, and they've been well received all around. So that's in-game stuff. We're going to continue the things we've done before: Kicks for Keeps, Knot Hole Park, Red Light Special. The William Tell Overture, I think, has transferred well from basketball. We're going to be doing even more on sustainability and our efforts to be the greenest athletic department in the Big Ten. I think you'll notice, I'm hopeful that you'll notice being a much cleaner around the athletics campus on game day and shortly thereafter. Some of you already know we've been doing a lot of branding around the complex. We spent a couple $100,000 just this last year, and we'll see some of that as we walk over here for dinner, and keeping up the Spirit poster. So it's a long list. I've got, we'll hand that out, again, there's no silver bullet, but we're doing a lot of things across the board, and I think you'll continue to feel an exciting game day environment at Memorial Stadium, and with the team's continued improvement, I think it's going to be rocking and rolling in there, and before long we'll be at 52,929 week in and week out. So that's my filibuster. I'd be happy to entertain any questions.
You said 52. Where are you now with ticket sales, and what kind of goals do you have?
I'm glad you asked that. Scott and I were kind of laughing because when I first got here, we were really hoping we could get our season tickets to 20,000 season tickets. Now we're over 30,000 season tickets, thanks to a big increase with the students. I acknowledge that, but also the non-student season tickets are up considerably. We're ahead of where we were last year at this time, and I think we'll soon overtake where we ended up last year. So to me, what's really encouraging is our first year in the North End Zone, we went up 32% in our tickets, roughly average of 30,000 a game to 40,000 a game, which was the first or second highest increase in the country. And then we've held there. We've stayed right about at 40, which I'd like to go up, but given that we weren't succeeding on the field to the extent that we wanted to, holding at 40, I think, was really pretty positive. My hope is, by continuing to improve the game day experience, and most importantly, with, I think, the football team doing better, my goal is to be sold out every game.
You talked about the walk, going back to like Kemp's original plan. Have you ever talked about naming the walk? I mean, the walk sounds kind of generic. You've got Hef's Rock already. Would you call it Hef's Walk, or come up with something a little, just to kind of identify it, more precisely?
Yeah, we had them. I think that's a good idea. We'll talk to Learfield and get it sponsored. Maybe like the Popeye Chicken Walk or something like that. Is that what you're thinking? Yeah, I don't either. I don't either. Did I bludgeon you into submission?
No, actually, I do have a question, but it's not football related.
That's fine.
Okay. I've heard some talk that maybe you're looking at renovating Assembly Hall as opposed to building a new one. Is that true, and how does that process go?
Well, we are getting close to starting a new capital campaign with a lot of new exciting capital projects that we're not prepared to, or I'm not prepared to announce publicly. But it's always been my position that I prefer to more or less keep Assembly Hall the way it is. I'm not an advocate for replacing Assembly Hall. I do think there's things we can do to enhance the experience at Assembly Hall short of a new building. And if and when we go in that direction, I'm confident it won't be with a new Assembly Hall. I mean, that's $300 million, I would think, to do something like that, and it would suck the oxygen kind of out of everything else that we're doing. And then it's awful tough to build a new building and not end up with a building that looks like everybody else's building. And so, notwithstanding some of the challenges of the idiosyncrasies of Assembly Hall, it's still like this venerable, iconic building now. And when the cameras come on, you know you're in Assembly Hall. And when you're an opposing player or coach, feeling like General Custer, looking up at all the students yelling down at you, I think there's something really that's a competitive advantage at Assembly Hall. So I don't anticipate a new Assembly Hall, but I wouldn't ignore the possibility that we might be able to improve it.
And could you improve it? Obviously, there's some challenges, especially if you're elderly or incapacitated, some that if indeed you go that direction, that it would address that at least at some level?
Yes. We started the ball rolling without the railings. I mean, the place was, 40 years and seemed to sort of be begging for railings. And, we got that done, which has helped dramatically, but certainly a goal would be to improve the accessibility.
What kind of crowd do you expect on Thursday night?
Yeah, I was looking at some of our old numbers, and I think Thursday is better than Saturday for a variety of reasons. That's why we sort of volunteered to go Thursday. Still a bit of a challenging time. If we're over 40,000 for the game, I'll be really happy. I'll be really, really happy if we're over 50, but I don't think that's going to happen. And we have, just in case, the 52,929 thing in the can to show if we got there, but I don't think we will. It'll be more like 40. Well, I really do appreciate you guys.
Like I said, I'm not sure if you addressed this at the beginning or not. Is this something, like all these sort of promotions, everything you've kind of added to the experience, and is this something that Coach Wilson is a lot more maybe amenable to than he was when he got the door? Because it seemed like it went a few years before you really shook stuff up. Is that something he's a lot more on board with now than maybe he was 2 or 3 years ago?
He's always been really on board with everything. I mean, he couldn't be a better partner in terms of doing things, the game day experience, and even adjusting what he might do on the field. So he's been great. I think we were in a bit of a groove. We had started some things, in 2009 when the North End Zone opened, and kind of we're getting those going. And as I mentioned at the top, I thought going into the 5th year of the North End Zone, we just needed to shake things up a little bit. And so we took a real clean slate approach to what's working, what's not working, what can we add, what can we do, and that was really more internally driven by me, not to lose our edge on having a really positive game day experience, not falling back and resting on whatever laurels we had created on game day experience, and doing that out of self-motivation, but it wasn't in response to Kevin suddenly being willing to do that. He's been good all the way, and I can't tell you how much time he spent with me going over this stuff. We started with a list that was maybe, believe it or not, 3 or 4 times as long as this, and we sort of had mileposts where I said, by this date I want it this size, by this date I want us all hold hands and say we're doing everything on this list, unless you can basically show cause why we don't. Kevin and I spent hours and hours just with each other, kind of working through this stuff.
Anything else?
Well, thanks for coming, and thanks for your patience. Like I said, there was sort of the big and the small, but I think there's no silver bullet. Add it all together, I think people will feel a different feeling in Memorial Stadium this fall, which will be terrific. And with that, we will take a really mini tour halfway